argue that we're rational. I would argue that we're logical.
John Mayer's baby is not getting a present.
No.
He's not.
He's never even going to have a baby.
Not. He's going to die alone. How did these things inspire the text that we have come to know and love?
This was the first time that she was writing these kinds of songs about any man that had ever existed.
Welcome back to The Evolution of a Snake. I'm Zach.
And I'm Madeline.
And today we are going to be scientifically ranking Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriends. Now, this is something that we have both done separately, but not together. I've done it on the Swiftologist YouTube channel, but that was pre-Jover. So Joe Alwyn did not make the cut of exes to be ranked. I think it's important to mention that we're not going to be talking about Travis Kelce in this ranking because he is a current member of the Taylor Swift boyfriend club, so he doesn't count as an ex, of course. And Madeline, do you want to explain our general philosophy towards Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriends?
Well, we call them purses. We call them purses. They're simply accessories to the diva. We are not, neither of us are people who get deeply invested in the boyfriends, in the relationships. We have never, I think probably the most invested I ever was is when I was a Twilighter and she dated
Taylor Swear. Same.
That was my life. That was my life. I was everything in my defense, I was 16 years old. So yeah, I was obsessed. But other than that, we keep it very, very, I would argue that we're rational. I would argue that we're logical. I would argue that we consider them to be nothing more than fodder for the genius.
And not in a way that is intended to dehumanize them, as some would like to believe. We do it because we're looking at them as characters on a page. Taylor's work and her discography is our sacred text, as we've said many times. And I think when we're trying to rank, and we're calling them the muses really more, because we actually have some other muses to discuss here other than ex-boyfriends. But I would say our general philosophy is like, how did these things inspire the text that we have come to know and love? Who advanced it? And the categories that we're going to be looking at today while we rank are out of 10, the songs, but of course the songs, the Gorgina tunes that have lived and died with us. Hotness, that is the only subjective category, and we have tabulated a version without the hotness. And what happened, Madeline?
It's just for fun. Oh, well, nothing happened. That's the tea. When we took the hotness out, it was the exact same. So there you go.
Doesn't even influence it.
Yeah.
Then we rate the songs inspired out of 10. And that one is kind of hard, but we'll get into it. And then we have lore added out of 10. So how did they contribute to the wider Taylor Swift cinematic universe outside of the songs? And then I think this is my favorite category to think about as we were ranking, which is the impact on Taylor's approach to love.
Which is I found the two categories that I found the most difficult were the impact on Taylor's approach to love and the one that was it
lore? I found that kind of hard too.
The lore was really, because it's like, okay, many boys have contributed to the lore, but like in a way that we're not saying yay, cheer, but it's like
exactly
it contributed, but we didn't like it. Does that make any sense?
We weren't cheering, and Taylor wasn't cheering.
Yeah.
So I kind of, I kind of went at it from like lore added being more kind of like background info, context, but also what was fun. That definitely considered into my ranking on how good the lore was it enjoyable to engage in? And if it wasn't, then that suffered in my point ranking system. And the X's that we have narrowed it down, there are potentials. We have a list of people that, have one or two songs written about them. But the major ones that we ranked are Joe Jonas, Taylor Lautner, John Mayer, Jake Gyllenhaal, Connor Kennedy. Now, he was a sneak, but we had to let him in. We had to let him in. Harry Styles, Calvin Harris, Tom Hiddleston, Joe Alwyn, and Matty Healy. So I think we should start. We also each picked a line from a song that we felt inspired or summed up the entire relationship. So let's start with the OG purse for me, the celebrity ex-boyfriend purse. What was the line for you, Madeline, that encapsulated this relationship?
So the song lyric that I chose, you're gonna like this one.
I know I am. It might be the same one that I did.
I fell apart in the usual way, and the story's got dust on every page. But sometimes I wonder how you think about it now.
Oh, brava. that sums up her impact. That sums the impact that he had on her approach to love. Truly, that's kind of everything. I chose Spinning Like a Girl in a Brand New Dress.
Ooh,
because
I love it.
I felt as though this wasn't a grown-up love. It was kind of like a prelude to more serious heartbreaks. And symbolically, Jo was the first pancake when it came to pounding out her exes like a pack of mincemeat.
Yeah, this was really the trial run. It was a big deal when it happened. A huge dealio. You can't imagine. If you weren't there, can you imagine you're sitting on your couch? Oh, it's Taylor's first time on Ellen. That was her first time, or was it her second time?
Her
on
first
Ellen.
time
Her
interviewed, at least.
Her first time on Ellen. Oh my gosh, what a big deal. And then she looked right in the camera and said, essentially, Joe Jonas, you've ruined my life. And there's a song about you on the album. Can you imagine being me? Changed my life.
That was the first instance of Tay voodoo. She called the hounds. She said, get him.
And
she said,
get him, they did.
And they
got
him.
They did.
We did.
Get him. Oh, we were cooking him every opportunity we had. There was nobody saying, oh, but what about? No. It was open season.
None of that.
It was open season.
Into the pan and turn up the heat.
Yeah.
And the songs that inspired Joe Jonas. Now, I think that there's a lot of debate, of course, over which songs are about who. And this is not intended to be the be all end all document of like which songs are about who. We just kind of pulled together the ones that we think obviously are. Another episode would be categorizing every single song into a muse. Now, that would be fun. That would be fun.
But
today, that would be something. But today, the songs we have to work with for Joe Jonas are Last Kiss, Forever and Always, Holy Ground, Better Than Revenge, Mr. Perfectly Fine, Haunted, and Jump Then Fall. What did you rank? Like, what numerical score did you give these songs, Madeline?
The numerical score? We were giving them all a score? Like, based on what?
Oh, yeah. Out of 10. Just the songs in general.
Oh, period. Okay, well, Last Kiss 10 out of 10. Forever and Always. Oh, you mean, hold on. That's
not individually. Yeah,
no, that's
the overall.
Different. Oh, okay. Sorry. Everybody, I apologize. This is our first pancake. This is so unprofessional. We're not even on the same page. I'm so sorry.
But here we are.
So I said 9 out of 10. I said 9 out of 10.
Well, and how can you disagree with that?
Well, here's what I said. This was the first time Taylor dated a famous person, and that you can't put a price tag on that. You really can't. The songs she wrote about him were iconic in their time, even if, like, I personally don't feel this way, but I could understand some people think they might be a little bit dated. I don't. Let me tell you, this was, when I heard Forever and Always for the first time, I was shaking. Were you just kidding? I'm asking you. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Plus, the arc of it is just so good to go from Forever and Always, Mr. Perfectly Fine, into Last Kiss, Better Than Revenge, into Holy Ground. It was literally the 5 stages of grief.
That was a young woman growing up in front of our eyes. And how often do you get to see that? Do you get to see it documented with such eloquence and grace? Usually it's like, I hate my ex-boyfriend at the club. I'm going to pour a drink on his head. Then a couple years later, you're like, that was kind of up that I did that. But Taylor Swift did it in a gorgeous fairy tale princess way. And I appreciate that. I gave the songs a 10. I had to give them a 10 because I think they are some of her best and her most rageful. I think it just, some of these are some of my favorite songs of all time. So I had to go ahead and give Joe Jonas the 10. Also because there's no true flop. Jump Then Fall is just okay, but it's not a true flop, in my opinion.
I don't think it's a flop. I like Jump Then Fall. I like it. Listen,
it's good.
You got the keys to me. I love a treckle on your face. Write that down. I'm
going to Jump Then Fall into you. Lore added, I had to give another perfect 10.
I said 9 out of 10 again. I said 9 out of 10 again. Again, just because it was her first time dating somebody famous. Plus, the Better Than Revenge lore is a little too good. Sometimes I think these new don't even know it. So here's what happened. So after Taylor put out Forever and Always, the Jonas Brothers put out a song called Much Better. And it went something to the effect of, now I'm done with country stars and all the tears on her guitar. Who do you think that's about? Gee, I wonder who it is. The song was a massive flop. You tried. Fast forward.
And you tried.
Fast forward to Speak Now. Show me how much better you are. Do you think that they just made... Do you think that's something they just did? No, this is in different areas.
She delivers it as well is genuinely terrifying. She knows. It's like, Joe Jonas, you really thought that you could come and play on this level, but you are nothing like that. You're nothing of the sort. You really don't have what it takes to deliver a line like that.
He didn't have the vernacular.
Is in the outro of Better Than Revenge. That's not even the main cook.
She wasn't even there. She barely cared. Show me how much better you are. She got them both.
Show me.
She got them both so good. Oh, I was.
Let's hear the applause. Let's hear the
delicious. 9 out of 10. Are you kidding me? I was living.
Oh my
9 out
god!
of 10.
Seriously, so good. And then, of course, we have the holy trinity of secret messages that connect these songs. And I think that this is the best example of like how much fun the secret messages were for the fans as we were going through it to realize in real time like who these songs were about. So Forever and Always, the secret message was, if you play these games, we're both gonna lose. Last Kiss was Forever and Always to let us know that Forever and Always was about Joe Jonas. And Holy Ground was when you came to the show in San Diego, which is when he came to the Speak Now tour. And she decided, after she wrote on her arm that night, after all that we've been through, I know we're cool. Girls, who's doing it like that?
We don't have these things anymore. Now they're zooming in on videos of her performing So High School and trying to say that she looks bored, so they're broken up. No.
What? We used to be a country with real politicians and real events, real elections. It was crazy. We also have that lore. The reason why I gave it a 10 as well is because the lore has continued all the way up to folklore. And now Cold was the steel of my axe to grind for the boys who broke my heart. And now I send their babies presents.
Now she's not anymore, though, because now we have the other element to it as well.
That's the other thing.
That she took Sophie Turner's side in the divorce. She said, you know what? Actually, he is evil. I take it all back.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Show me how much better you are.
Fine. Yes.
She sent her a playlist of her own songs and said, girl, so
trust
confusing.
me, I get it more than you could ever imagine.
I have been there. We have the 28-second phone call with the dolls. I mean, girls. Performing Forever and Always on the tour, it's too good. The whole drama and approach to it is incredible. So up next is her impact on the approach to love. And I thought he didn't score very highly here because it wasn't that serious. What did you think?
That's exactly what I said. I said 4 out of 10. I think at the time it really was like, whoa, because it was probably her first time having that kind of heartbreak. But I think it would take a couple more years before she realized like, oh, that was nothing. Because there was a big kahuna coming up and
had no idea what was
you got
in
a
for
big
her.
Storm coming.
I gave it a 6 out of 10 because I think it really reinforced with like Better Than Revenge. It reinforced a certain uppityness that exists within her, where she likes to take the moral high ground. You cheated on me and therefore you're the best, you're the worst person in the world. Well, you know, all things come back around full circle. So I thought that was interesting. So overall, I got Joe at 33 out of 40, which is pretty high.
I got Joe at 27 out of 40.
Oh, we didn't give our hotness.
Oh, we did?
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's important. No, that's really important, you guys. So my hotness,
it is
5 out of 10. 5. Yeah, I'll say it.
I gave him a 7 because I think he's the hot of them all. If I had to pick a hottest one now, I would probably pick him. But those sideburns back in the day, girl, that really dragged him right back down to a 7. So I gave him a 7, which is why he's got 33 out of 40.
And that's period. What more do you need to know?
That's on period.
That's on period.
Up next, something that I loathe to talk about, I hate to think about, a man that really should just be run off the face of the earth. John Mayer. So the songs that we have are Would've, Could've, Should've, Dear John, ours, Superman, Haunted. Wait, did we put Haunted in both Joe and John? Yeah, we did. Well, we're
professionals.
We're professionals. Come on.
We're professionals.
It's the duality of a muse.
It's the duality
story
of
us. Foolish One, Timeless, added by Madeline, and I Can See You.
That's not a joke. I put it in as like a joke, but I'm actually not joking. I just think that she felt that way about him.
I think she probably did, and that really adds another layer of dislike to that song that I already don't like.
Yep.
So the line that I wrote that encapsulated their relationship was, "Give me back my girlhood. It was mine first."
I almost put that one too. But I actually like really battled it out. We both picked from Would've, Could've, Should've. I like went back and forth because I think that one's a great one. But I landed on I Regret You All the Time.
Oh, girl. I'm mad at him already. I'm mad. This one just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like it upsets me to my deepest core. Hotness, I gave him a 4. Rat.
What did I put him on? Okay, hold on. This one's controversial. So here's Here's the thing. Now, I have a unique perspective on this because I've seen him in human person. I've like up close. I've spoken to him about Diet Coke.
Haven't.
Yes, 7 out of 10.
What? Oh.
He's pretty attractive in person. No, he really is. It's one of those things where it's like in pictures, you're like, he's not even that good looking. And then you see him in person and you're like, hold on. It's scary. When he walked in and I saw him, the blood drained out of my entire body. I was like,
is he really tall?
5'11", 6 foot maybe.
Tall enough.
Tall enough. So 7 out of 10.
Well,
and I'm not happy about it. I'm not smiling. I'm not cheering. I'm just being honest. I'm just telling you my truth.
Yep. No, you're doing your journalistic work. Yep. You're reporting the facts as you see them.
As usual. As usual.
So I give him a 4 because I just don't get it. Songs inspired. I'm going with a solid 8 here because Dear John and Woulda Coulda Shoulda are really doing the legwork. In terms of numbers of songs, he's not up there with some of the other more prolific muse, but there's only one true flop out of these songs. For me, that's Superman, and that is a flop that I have, really hated for my entire life, so I had to drag the overall score down. But overall, I think the songs reflect the relationship, intense and brief.
So I said 10 out of 10. This is my mother load. This is my mother load. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, it probably wouldn't have been 10 out of 10 without the addition of Would've, Could've, Should've. To me, that is not crazy. That's not the right word I want to use. It's just when I heard that song for the first time, I couldn't believe what was happening because it was so full circle. And the way that Dear John and Would've, Could've, Should've reference one another, obviously it's not all about Dear John and Would've, Could've, Should've. I also agree Superman is not great. I also agree Timeless has its clunkers, but I have to say 10 out of 10. That's my truth.
Well, I respect you. The power of those two divas alone, and I mean, Would've, Could've, Should've is just... it adds a layer of understanding that I didn't want to have about the situation. Right. Like, I already knew it was bad. I had already exiled him from the community. And then when she tried to call us off afterwards, I was like, you can't just release Would've, Could've, Should've and then do Speak Now TV and say, never mind, girl.
Once the dogs go out, you can't bring them back in. The dogs are out.
You set them. And you know what? You might be sending their babies presents. John Mayer's baby is not getting a present.
No.
He's not.
He's never even going to have a baby.
Not. No, he won't. He's going to die alone. Well, and you know what? This comes from a place that is not just about Taylor Swift. Like, if you read Jessica Simpson's memoir, like, he was a terrorist.
He's a very gross man. And
he is not a nice man.
Recently, I floated the Yellowstone River where John Mayer lives. And this is actually really funny. So we always go to Pine Creek on the float, and we always know we're almost done when we see John Mayer's house. So 2 years ago, there was like a massive river flood, and his house got totally f***ed up. Yeah, when we were floating by it, it was completely like torn apart. Like, he's rebuilding it and everything, and it was like, you see,
well. So for lore added, I gave a 6 because I think it depends how we define lore. There is unsavory lore to mine here, some of which I don't want to repeat. We've gotten into it on our yearly episodes before, so go back and check that out. But I think this is kind of traumatic, especially for most people involved, including Taylor. Yeah. I don't find the John Mayer lore to be fun, and I don't think she finds it fun either because she has basically asked everyone to stop mentioning him, and I don't think that's to protect him. I think it's to, like, really just be like, I don't want my name in your mouth with his name as well. Like, I really just want it to go away.
I said 2 out of 10. I said 2 out of 10. I did. I said I can't. I don't like the lore. I don't enjoy the lore as much as like Would've, Could've, Should've means to me. And I love Dear John, and a couple other songs that are about him as well. I'm like 2 out of 10. The lore, it's not, it's not something that you want to like talk about. It's not. It's completely inappropriate to like dissect it. You know what I mean? The way that you can with like other of her relationships. So 2 out of 10.
We're not having a kiki when it comes to John Mayer. We just never are.
No.
However, I had to give him a 9 on his impact on Taylor's approach to love because we can't deny that he had a profound impact on her. I think, revisiting all of this, that she found herself craving kind of a redo with John and hence the dalliance with Jake. But she quickly learned that older and more mature is not always better. And I think overall he made her more distrustful and took something from her that she can't get back. So I hate him, but he had a big impact.
So I gave him a 5. This is very interesting. I was thinking about it a different way. I think you're right, but I just have a different perspective. So I said her impact on her approach to love is a different question than impact on her in general. Like, did he affect her in ways that altered how she entered into relationships? I think it's possible, but I also think that we don't actually really know that, because I think if that was true, Jake Gyllenhaal wouldn't have happened, because he was kind of the same guy in a different font to an extent. So we know that it's something that affects her, but I don't know about her approach to love. I think she was still young enough that she was just kind of like, that was a fluke. He's an asshole.
Yeah, let me just do it one more time.
So that was kind of the way that I thought about it. So I only gave him a 5.
Fair enough. You see, on the evolution of a snake, we have different opinions and we respect each other's space.
Well, that's
give each other time.
That's
to disagree.
We give each other time. We do. We love it.
So I gave John Mayer overall 27 out of 40.
Oh my gosh, I think that's my exact score too. Is that what I said? No, wow. 24. 24 out of 40. 24, sorry.
As you should, queen. As you should. Period. Okay, now we're getting into Jake Gyllenhaal. This is an interesting one. So what line did you pick to encapsulate their relationship?
I went with a really basic
one. This was hard.
I do think it's true. I said, faster than the wind, passionate as sin, ending so suddenly. Ooh, yeah, I said it. I said it.
Yes.
I said it. And I'm not ashamed of it. It's just
You're
true.
Right.
It's just literally
Red
true.
Is the mission statement for that relationship.
Oh,
so
yes.
like any line from that song, because it's more general too.
Yep.
I, of course, had to return to All Too Well 10. That's where I pulled my lyrics from. I had 2 that were in mind. So I was debating between, but I think I'm going with the second one. I had You Never Called It What It Was as one line, because there was an element of reality denial here that I think was super foundational. And the one I'm choosing is I'm a soldier who's returning half her weight.
Ooh, that's a good one. Those are good ones.
That's what happened. That's what had happened.
That's what had happened. Gorgina.
The songs inspired by Jake are All Too Well, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, Red, I Almost Do, State of Grace, The Moment I Knew, Better Man, Babe, I Bet You Think About Me, Treacherous, I Knew Your Trouble, Sad, Beautiful, Tragic, The Last Time, The Manuscript, Stay, 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 Hello. Hello.
Now those are songs. Girls. Hello.
Girls. Hello.
I said 10 out of 10. I said it. Yeah. 10 out of 10. I'll say it again. I don't
know what? I said 9, and I don't understand why, because I gave Joe a 10.
Isn't it so funny? In the harsh light of day, sometimes you're like, what the hell was I thinking?
In my delusion, I'm like, what I don't understand this. But I wrote a rationale for it. I'm looking at pretty much each and every one of them and saying, yes, well, of course. They are funny. They are smart. They are super creative. We have All Too Well 10, which is iconic. But I mean, this is the song. That's the Taylor Swift song.
That's the song.
That's the Taylor Swift song. Better Man, inspired by the same person. Hello. I mean, the material that we got was insane. I'm revising my score to a 10. I'm sorry. I have to.
It has to be done.
I'm revising it.
This was the first time that she was writing these kinds of songs about any man that had ever existed. Like, Joe was nothing compared to this. It was a gag. Red, play. To me, I think that Red and Torture Poets might duke it out for, like, king of the breakup records, but I still think Red is certainly in the running for number 1 because it's the blueprint.
It was also her coming of age record. So her, and when we get the context of Nothing New, how can a person go from knowing everything at 18 to nothing at 22? You really feel that, like, reckoning, the reeling. I feel like you can literally hear her growing up on Red. So, and Jake was a huge part of that. He made her realize a lot of what she didn't want out of a relationship. Let's go to hotness. What did you give him for hotness?
Okay, so this might surprise some people, but I believe that he got my highest score. He got number 8. He got number 8 because I do think that he is kind of sexy. And like at the time when they were dating, especially, he's a big time like famous actor and he's talented. He has big blue eyes. I was looking respectfully. I will say that. So 8. 8.
Yeah, I gave him an 8 too. Because he was kind of sexy in Brokeback Mountain. So, you know what?
Well, yeah.
I'll let him rock.
We were
let him rock. Laura added, I gave it a 10. Drinking
10
maple lattes, walking down the street, arm in arm with those scarves.
10 out of 10.
If we had to pick like a Taylor Swift candid that changed the world, I think it's either like the Central Park walk with Harry or walking down the street with Jake Gyllenhaal with their maple lattes in hand, bundled up in Brooklyn. That is everything to me. Plaid shirt days, the scarf alone is contender for the biggest piece of lore of all time, don't you think?
It's literally like it's like a, what is it called in Harry Potter, the things that Voldemort puts his soul into? What are those things called?
Horcruxes?
Horcrux. It's a Horcrux. The scarf is a Horcrux, literally. It's probably one of the few that we actually have that's like a tangible item that exists in the Taylor Swift lore universe. And we saw in the pictures, she's wearing a scarf. You can't make that up.
And then you have a couple months later him wearing the scarf after they broke up.
You can't make that up.
Girls.
That's just math.
Girls.
That's just
they
math.
Don't do it like that
no,
anymore.
They don't.
These celebrities are so boring. Get your ass up and do drama. It's so irritating. And then, I mean, we also get the all too well 10-minute version, these vault tracks. I mean, the lore of Jake Gyllenhaal has continued to unfold. And I just think that seminal 10.
I also think that Jake is one of the exes that she cannot, under any circumstances, ever be friends with or talk to ever again. She's like, no, for the rest of my life, he's dead to me. And that's lore to me. Because in many other instances, she will make an attempt with Harry, with Joe, although that's over now. Calvin's another one that's dead. Calvin's dead. Jake is dead. John is dead. The others? Maddie?
Who knows?
Dead.
Can I ask you a question? Oh, he's dead.
Can I ask you a question?
He's really dead. Maddie's dead. Maddie's truly dead.
Maddie's dead now.
I think also with Jake, what is so, and I guess we can go into this impact on her approach to love. I think that he did I think he gaslit her a lot. And I think that might have been a really foundational experience for her, because all too well is literally just her being like, I remember it. And you cannot take that away from me. You can't rewrite history. You can't say that it didn't happen. You can't say that it wasn't important.
Right.
I was there. I remember it. And he's like one of our strongest contenders as a muse in the truest sense, in that she was like trying to describe how intense their love felt, but also trying to settle scores with him as well. Because we have all too well, but we have I Bet You Think About Me.
She was cooking. She was in the kitchen cooking. She was ready to come at him.
It wasn't a noble pursuit. It was also you're dead.
No. But also, going into the impact on how she thought about love, I also gave it a 10 out of 10. I think this rocked her world. I think this rocked her to her foundations. She thought love was burning red, girls. That's what she thought. She really thought, oh, is this what it's supposed to feel like all the time?
A car crash.
No.
A car crash. Literally a car crash.
No.
I think, she was also on the come down from John, which really compounded things. Right. I think that she thought that he would be better, and that also Jake could expose her to some credibility in this industry that she was entering into. And she was very commercially successful, but not well respected as an artist. And Jake Gyllenhaal is, very well respected as an artist, especially at that time. And I don't think he ever really took her seriously. And that gave her a real drive and propulsion to be like, I'm going to make you take me seriously. Like a lot of the great songwriting on Red feels like, you think that my songs are just silly nonsense pop songs? Listen to this I'm writing about you. I can do it.
Right. She cooked him. And then just as a cherry on top, she said, and I'm also going to make the #1 worldwide pop hit about you too, and you're going to hate it.
Tay Voodoo. Jake Gyllenhaal is continuing to suffer from Tay Voodoo. And you know what? He has been the most respectful ex. He has not said a word. He actually one time said that he felt like he might have missed out on something good when he was getting interviewed by Howard Stern about Taylor. He was like,
when was
maybe
that?
I missed out on something that was good and I wasn't ready.
Hold on. Taylor, we could still call. We could call. And anytime
Taylor,
could call.
No, we're kidding.
We're kidding. I'm kidding.
No, he's over. He really is over. But I think I get elements of Jake intolerate it as well. Like, I just think that this feeling of being ignored and belittled is something that she has identified from this relationship as something that she does not want anymore.
Right. I don't, that's just not, when somebody doesn't take her seriously, I think that's her biggest button that's pushed. I mean, think about when her biggest pet peeve is when somebody thinks that she's not writing the songs. She's not actually the person who's behind these great songs. And if her songs actually are good, it's because somebody else is doing it. She doesn't like that. She does not.
And how many of these men, I can really imagine John and Jake getting Taylor alone for the first time in like a moment of intimacy and being like, do you really write those songs? Come on. Who's really helping you behind the scenes? Who's really doing that?
If I was Taylor, I would be gagged. I'd be like,
I would get my guitar. I'd get out of bed. I would put on a robe, I would get the guitar, and I would say, listen up, you little, give me a chord sequence, and I'll give you something. I bet this time of night you're still.
Yeah.
My total score for Jake was 37 out of 40.
Mine was 38 out of 40.
Oh my God. We're so aligned. We always pretend to be surprised when we're aligned, and it's like, well, two-headed snake.
We know our truth. We know our truth. We do.
I think it's more fun from here on out because Jake and John, girls, so upsetting, girl. Up next, the gag, the funny moment of the century, Conor Kennedy.
No, this killed me. You know what I forgot about? Which, like, just thinking about him, it brought all the memories rushing back. I'm pretty sure the pictures of them together in Cape Cod were one of, if not the first time we saw Taylor kissing a boy in a picture. And I was
like outside of a music video context.
I didn't like it.
That one?
Like, him?
He's a string bean. What's that about?
Him?
What's that about? What line did you pick to encapsulate their relationship?
Ooh, this is a funny one.
I'm dying to know.
So I said, all I know is we said hello.
Madeline, I picked the same line.
That's all we know. That is literally all we know.
I included Dust Off Your Highest Hopes.
Well,
I added Dust Off Your Highest Hopes onto it. That's one of my favorite lines
from Everything Has Changed. Really, really cute.
Everything Has Changed also. I mean, when we go to songs inspired, Everything Has Changed, Starlight, and Run are the songs that we have to work with. I gave it a 5 because generously, Everything Has Changed is the diva of these 3 songs for sure. There are some really, every time I revisit Everything Has Changed, I'm like, there are just some gorgeous lines tucked away on Everything Has Changed. She was just in her bag lyrically when writing Red.
She was. Everything Has Changed. I feel like at the time we expected something else, so we dunked on it a little bit too much. I got Everything Has Changed as a surprise song in Seattle. Ever since then, I've been feeling like a lot more fond of it. Did Ed Sheeran
She's
come
a diva.
out? No, he wasn't
ready
there.
to say it.
Well, I think she's a diva. However, she's to me the only diva, which is why I said 2 out of 10. Unfortunately, which is why I said 2.
What did you? Okay, so for hotness, I gave him a 4. I think we can all agree that he has good bone structure. I will give him that, and he's tall, and he's a Kennedy. But he also got arrested outside the White House wearing Crocs, and that's not sexy. That's not sexy to me. Now I'm seeing the emergence of Jack Schlossberg. I'm like, Taylor, why didn't you go after him?
Who the hell is that?
This one. I think I think she was like a cougar looking at some gazelle, and she was like, "What's the weakest one? Which one is going to get? Which one can I get sooner?" Because the goal was to immerse herself in the last great American dynasty. She was obsessed with the Kennedys at the time. So Conor was the easiest way in, and she said, "I'll have that," and she did.
She certainly did. I gave him a 3. I said 3 out of 10 for you, and that's what you get. And I don't want to hear nothing about it. Period.
That's on period.
Yep.
For lore added, I had to give it an 8 because, hello, this is like some of the most insane Taylor Swift behavior we've ever seen. Her Hyannis Port Summer is one of the first times that I really remember like actively being on the edge of my seat, tuned in to see what would come next, because it was every day we were getting new pictures. And it hadn't been like that before, where Taylor was really chronicled by the paparazzi in that sense. This was kind of the beginning of a new era of that for her. And the photos are iconic. She's dressed
really
like
iconic.
A 50s war woman. And
she looks like
stand all the way down to the bathing suits. She was LARPing.
Yeah. LL Bean catalog ass behavior. It was shocking. I remember being like, who is that? Because remember, at this point, when she's having her Hyannis Port Summer, Red hadn't come out yet. We hadn't met yet.
It's about to
Grandma.
come out.
She wasn't where she was starting to grandma in Hyannis Port.
She was.
Not to mention.
But she was also wearing high-waisted shorts for the first time. Those red high-waisted shorts.
Now,
I won't forget those.
No. That was a hot topic. Also, she tried to buy property. She was out there buying property.
She actually bought property.
Do you remember this? That was insanity. And everybody was like, isn't she crazy? And I remember being like, no, she's not crazy. But like,
I love that about her. Well, and also it's just like, and the lore of it all is that in the months leading up to that, she had been like obsessively talking about the Kennedys in press, and she particularly was enamored by Ethel Kennedy. I think that she just wanted, her main goal was actually just to speak to a historical American figure, and the easiest way to do that was by like embedding herself in the And Ethel Kennedy was out here saying, I would love it if she was my granddaughter.
Yeah, no, Ethel was completely charmed by her, and there needs to be something done. Because why is it always
weddings?
The grandmas? The fucking grandmas.
Again, she goes for the lowest hanging fruit.
She does.
She's like, I could get you on my side.
Do you remember, was this something that I made up? Did she or did she not visit the Kennedy gravesite?
She did. She on the anniversary of his mother's death. In a yellow
dress.
She was standing there with him mourning. Girls.
This wasn't 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. It was so freaky deaky.
And they crashed the wedding. Remember that? And there was a whole drama because apparently the bride was like, why the did you just upstage me at my own wedding? And they got kicked out.
Honestly, I'm a Swiftie, so if Taylor Swift showed up, I would cheer. But if I was not, I'd be like, get this
witch
out of my
burn
wedding.
Her.
Yeah.
Get
like, are you
out.
kidding me?
Get her out.
Yeah.
But this is the definition of main character syndrome when you really think about it. The way it like carried on through the release of Red as well. Conveniently, a big splashy public romance before the record came out. Interesting. And what really sends me is do you remember when she went to visit him at boarding school on her plane?
That's not my business. That's really not my business. That's not my business.
We really
that's not my business. I said I go to church. I do my homework. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about that.
I never heard about that.
I never heard about that.
No comment. We're not available for comment on that. So, impact on her approach to love, 3. It inspired her to date young. That was all I got.
I said 0. Nothing. I really think that in some sense, I don't think she thought this at the time, but I don't think she was really that into him. I think it was fun. I think she had a summer romance. You know, the thing about summer romance is, I mean, we've all seen Grease. They don't last.
We've seen Grease.
They don't last. They do not last.
Those summer Naha heights, they don't last. Mm-mm. And she had her dalliance, and I'm happy for her. And I think it was a net positive. He's engaged now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure he's like, hey, remember that summer that I dated Taylor Swift? And everybody's like, yay.
What a story. What a story.
It's a story.
You know, we really need to start trying to get access to these people that are like theoretically easy to access. Yeah. Because they think these are just like war stories that no one cares about. And meanwhile, these are the days of our lives.
These are the days of our lives. Oh, I remember Conor
need
Kennedy.
To ask him questions.
He's not going quietly into that good night. I remember.
And I want to ask him inconsequential questions like, did she play you any songs? What did you hear before Red came out? What was on your mind?
Yeah, what does she like to do first thing in the morning? I always wonder that. Like
when she went to the ice cream shop, what's her go-to flavor?
Yeah, stuff like that.
What perfume was she wearing? Yeah. He wouldn't know the answer to that flop. But Wonderstruck, probably at that time. Wonderstruck.
Hello.
One can only hope. Hello. Up next, now we're back to a diva, Harry Styles. Oh wait, what did we give Conor out of 40? I gave him 20.
He has a 13 out of 40 for me. Yeah, so he's not prom king. No, not even close.
The sacred number. At least he got the sacred number.
He did.
Harry Styles. All right. What line did you pick to encapsulate this?
So as everybody knows, we could have, I mean, honestly, so many would be such good ones. I decided to go with one that I think is a little bit underrated and also is really like to the point and gets right to the heart of the matter. I chose from I Wish You Would. We're a crooked love in a straight line down. Did you pick that one too?
Okay. No, thank God. But I did pick from I Wish You Would. I have the same feeling. I love that. We're a crooked love in a straight line down. That's a really underrated song. Can you expand on what you think it means?
So we're a crooked love in a straight line down. I think it means when I picture it in my head, I can see the image of it. And it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like, it was always completely messed up, and everything that we did, no matter how we tried to fix it, it just kept getting more messed up, and it was just in a straight line down, completely crooked, chopped and screwed the entire time. It was never good. We were never out of the woods, is another way to think of it.
Mm-hmm. We were always going to end up in the same place that we did, no matter how hard we tried. Mm-hmm. I picked You Gave Me Everything and Nothing.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I like that one. Yeah,
we're cooking.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the songs. We have Out of the Woods, I Know Places, Is It Over Now, Now That We Don't Talk, Suburban Legends, Wonderland, I Wish You Would, Style, All You Had to Do Was Stay, Wildest Dreams. Some people argue that's about Alex Skarsgård, but like, I don't care to have that conversation
who's saying
today.
That? No, that's not interesting to me.
Many.
Not me.
We don't
I'm
want
not saying it.
This Love, How You Get the Girl, Clean, Say Don't Go, Suburban Legends, I said that already, The Very First Night, Come Back, Be Here, and Message in a Bottle. Hotness. What did you give him?
Let's see. What did I give him? So this is my comment. I said, quote, he's never been my type. I was a Nile girl. 5 out of 10. I was a Nile girl. Listen, I was. If I wasn't attracted to any of them in a big way, but if you line them up as they were and as I was, Nile, any day. Irish King, please.
You know what? There were more Nile girls than you would think in this world. There really were.
Please,
I think because truly the number 2.
He was so cute. He was so cute. I liked him.
He was just a boy, literally. He was just a boy.
Yeah.
Random boy.
He's just a boy.
So for me, Harry doesn't really do it for me, but I know that he is like hot. So I gave him an 8 because he is like pretty, like he's attractive. And there was a time when I thought he was really cute, so I was like, I'll just.
I'm gonna let you cook. He was cute. He just wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying?
Period.
Period.
Songs inspired. 10, 10, 10s across the board.
Oh, we have to say 10. Hello.
We have to.
And you know what? She was writing about him like he's the most fascinating person on the face of the planet. When we know that's not true. So she was cooking. She knows something about him that we don't know. And she was trying to tell us.
She invented, or she did what Matty did. She turned him into an idea of sorts.
Turned me into an idea of sorts. Everything comes back to Chloe or Sam. Everything does. If it doesn't come up in a conversation, something's not right.
We're going to be talking about it to the end of time. Yeah. So this is where my Hailer really comes out. And this was a good exercise in figuring out, like, why am I a Hailer? Because I DGAF about Harry Styles. I really don't care. Like, I was never a Directioner. I don't like his music. I don't even think he's that hot. Like, I have no reason to be invested in it other than Taylor's neuroses surrounding it, which is what I think people don't understand. So I think these songs are really fun. There is a flirtatious and a sexy element to so many of them. Even the ones that are about sad things, like All You Had to Do Was Stay, Wildest Dreams, Is It Over Now, even has like this sexual tension like pulsing through it. Yep. And I love an unresolved ending. It's most pleasing to me. Yep. And to have inspired a song such as Style alone is enough, in my opinion, to put a Muse in the Snake and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he really is like one of the all-time greats. And you know what else I really like about him is that they can still talk to each other and be friendly because he really wasn't that evil. I think a lot of their relationship was just about like
things.
Yeah. I think a lot of their relationship boiled down to like miscommunications. We were on the different pages, stuff like that. And he wasn't like,
you weren't ready.
Right.
I wanted something different.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think this also ushered in a whole new era of Taylor Swift with the Jack Antonoff productions. I mean, these are all the stuff that he did for Taylor originally is about Harry. So we have to clap.
We do have to clap.
He also got a perfect 10 on lore for me.
I said 8 out of 10, and I'm asking myself why.
Blue dress on a boat.
Blue dress on a boat. So I said blue dress on a boat. The thing about blue dress on a boat is it was so important in 2012, and it's just as important today in 2024. You tell me. You tell me. Blue dress on a boat. Blue dress on a boat. Sadly, some of the most interesting lore. This is why. Sadly, some of the most interesting lore about Harry got stolen by a certain rapscallion who shall not be named at this time. He's definitely had some of his lore taken away from him. That's really so true. And what kills me is we really thought, unironically, all these years, she was pining away for Harry and his feather boa. We really thought that.
Well, we loved that idea because it seemed so crazy. We were like, this doesn't make any sense. And so in a certain aspect, we were right.
We were. It was crazy. It didn't make any sense. It completely blindsided us. Well, yes, absolutely.
Well, yes. Yeah. We were a little off with the details, but we had his number. We had the number. But when I look just at the lore that we do have that hasn't been taken away from him, Directioners versus Swiftie War of 2012. It was hard to be alive that time.
No, yeah.
It was hard to be alive. New Year's Eve kiss. That was everything. backstage at Jingle Ball, that was everything. Dirty Dancing, that was everything. The video of people ignoring Taylor to take pictures with Harry, that was the worst things ever happened to me. The seagull photo, the face swap Haler, hello, Central Park date, going to meet Granny at the pub. I mean, it was too perfect. Grammy Museum performances.
Grammy Museum performances. What else can I? Bus, club, another club, bus, taxi,
literally.
Club. Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Gorgina.
So a 10 on Laura for me. Impact on approach to love, I gave him a 7 because I don't know that he necessarily changed her perception of love hugely, but I think he did shove her into a much needed feminist awakening. She said, I need my girls, I need my new romantics to bring me out and forget about this flop. And that's exactly what happened. So I think that getting her heart broken by Harry proved to her that she could make it out of a romantic entanglement alive and not as a soldier returning half her weight.
That's actually a really interesting point. I said 5 out of 10 just because I actually find it kind of confounding what actually she got out of the relationship. You know what I mean? Like, I found it really hard to parse. I didn't write very much about it because I just was like, honestly, 5 out of 10, I don't know. I do not know. But that's actually a really good point. He did make her have a feminist awakening. That's how much he pissed her off.
Sometimes a man has to flop so badly to turn on the Ruth Bader Ginsburg in you, and it got turned on.
Oh, it turned on real quick.
We think. I gave it 35 out of 40 total for Harry.
It.
Well, you know what? He's queer baiting every day. You don't know what he is.
All right, so I gave him 28 out of 40. Not bad.
Ooh,
not
okay.
Bad.
Up next, speaking of things that meant nothing, speaking of feminist awakenings that were abandoned, Calvin Harris.
Hello. Who?
Oh,
who is that?
Girl. So confusing.
This was not a fun period of time to be a Swiftie. I don't think weird. At the time, I feel like I was just like going along with it. But looking back at friendly relations between the America and is it Australia or New Zealand? I can't remember. Australia?
The UK.
The UK. My line was Australian. I don't even know the man.
Oh no.
And then the unicorn floaty and they were at the island. No. I mean, this is lore.
We were just saying yes. We were just going, okay.
I was nodding and smiling.
There were more important things going on in the fandom, like assassinating Katy Perry. That was more important to us.
Well, there was always something going on. And her relationship with him actually wasn't the most, probably one of the least interesting things about 1989 as an era. He just wasn't that important.
And of her life in general, as we have proven in our ranking.
Yes, as we've proven.
The line encapsulating their relationship, I had to pull from a song that wasn't even about him. I wanted to leave him. I needed a reason.
Oh, you cooked him. You got him.
I did.
You got him good.
I did.
So the line that I picked is actually from High Infidelity. I picked, your picket fence as sharp as knives, I was dancing around it. She did not
I think that says the same thing.
Same
thing in different words.
Oh, yes, it does. She was dancing around that fence. She said, It's like the
I
floor
don't
is
want
lava.
to do this anymore.
I do not want to do it.
I'll just never forget the way, again, I always bring this up when we talk about Calvin, but at the Secret Session, a relationship that I couldn't claw my way out of. There's more there to understand that she has just chosen to completely just erase from the canon, which is interesting to me.
Let's just wait till the Rep Vault comes out and then we'll really start cooking. She was so one-track minded on Rep and what she wanted it to be that she just completely said, I'm cutting all songs about Calvin for who knows why. He didn't fit the narrative.
She barely even wanted to get Kanye and Kim. She said, I'll do 2 songs and then the rest of it is a love story. And you know what? We cheered.
I was cheering. Oh, I cheered.
We cheered. So the Calvin Harris songs, I mean, High Infidelity for sure. And indirectly, I did something bad and Gorgeous, I guess. So I gave songs inspired of 0 because I hate the song. The one song that is about him, I hate. He was such a boring intergalactic flop that she couldn't even bother to write a good song about him. So no.
I said 1 out of 10. I love High Infidelity, but come on.
It's not enough to give a ranking.
It's not enough.
Hotness, I gave him is this my first one? 0. I cannot get the pre-glow up Calvin Harris out of my head. He looks like one of those weird British guys in my 8th grade computer class who would like eat beef jerky, sweat profusely, and fart, and like look at pictures of Megan Fox in a bikini.
And fart.
And yeah, he is
Megan Fox.
He is never hot in my eyes. He is a gross string bean. I never got it. That one I really was like, ew.
So I gave him 2 out of 10. But have you seen the video from before he glowed up? And it's that one where he's like, I'm gonna go to the dance floor down and see you looking at me. That
with his brown hair and his fugly teeth. No, girl.
Ooh,
he had a glow up. I will give it to him. He looks like an actual different person, but really just not for me. Lore added. Now I have to give it up. I gave it a 7 because the lore is pretty good. First of all, her dragging him around like a purse. She just dragged him around.
That was her legit purse. Yep.
She would legit drag him. She would walk out first and drag his ass out. There was the 1 year Kate hostage situation, but of course, ripping the car door off its hinges when asked about Taylor Swift.
I love that. Oh, plus his Twitter breakdown. Oh my God, so good.
The Twitter breakdown of saying the Katy Perry,
I know
you can't bury me.
Else. You need somebody else to bury like Katy, etc. But I'm not that guy. I won't do it.
I'll never forget.
And
you were that guy. Sadly,
and he was that guy.
You were that guy. That sucks to be you, but you really were.
What did I give it? Oh, I gave it a 5. I sometimes forget about him. Like he is iconic in a sense because of all that stuff, but like when I think 1989 era, he doesn't even come up in my radar. You know what I mean?
He's one of the most humiliated and disgraced exes by Taylor's actions. Like kissing her at the airport, dropping her to go to the Met Gala, and then the next day she's doing the Cha-Cha Slide with Tom Hiddleston. And then it's Bleachella. And then, I mean, it's just, it's not great. And then also there was the iconic, the fan interaction with Denise. Do you remember this? Calvin Harris threw a call at What You Want Lemonade at me, Gillette Stadium. And Gillette Stadium replied and said they were looking into it.
It's a picture of Calvin Harris. This man threw a call at What You Want Lemonade at me.
And it's a picture of him in the crowd somewhere else. It was too good. It was seriously too good. And also, when he opened his tour and he was like, thanks for your many appreciative tweets last night, most of which look like this. And it was like, kill yourself.
Well, deserved.
So that's why I gave him a 7, because it was really, really funny. His impact on her approach to love, I gave him a 1. She forgot him.
Me too. I gave it a 1. She won't tell us. Even if there was something going on, she refuses to tell us. So there you go.
No.
1.
She's like, it was so, for whatever reason, not interesting. I gave him an 8 out of 40.
Minus 9. 9 out of 40. Congratulations, Calvin.
Now we get into the second most disgraced person in Taylor Swift's dating history, Tom Hiddleston, an innocent bystander, basically. Literally, he was just a man standing there asking for a girl to love him, and she said, no. The line encapsulating their relationship that I selected was, I knew it from the first old-fashioned, we were cursed.
And that's the truth. And that's the truth. I broke his heart because he was nice.
Well, yes.
Yep. Well, yes. Well, yes.
The songs that we have to discuss here are Getaway Car, I Did Something Bad, and Midnight Rain. Hotness, I'm not really attracted to him, but he is objectively like a Ken doll, so I gave him an 8 because I think he's probably like the idea of a hot person.
I like the idea of a hot person. I gave him a 7.
Fair enough. Songs inspired. I gave this a 7 because, listen, this is a small group, but gosh, are they mighty. Getaway Car, I Did Something Bad, and Midnight Rain. I have to lower it to a 7 just because I think there isn't that many of them, and volume is more important when I was going through these and ranking them. But the songs that he did inspire are quite thought-provoking. And he was, as I said, a bystander. He's just the man who got hit in the head with a piano while walking down the street. Oops.
He literally was like Wile E. Coyote. He was... I honestly, listen, I have a one-track mind. I gave 9 out of 10. Just say it's right.
Based on the material alone.
Listen, I have to say, one of the greatest songs ever made. Definitely one of the best songs on Reputation. I say 9 out of 10. Not many. I mean, we don't have a lot in the vault, but I thought what we got in the vault was delicious. So I was eating it up, and I said 9.
We could have more. There could be more on the way.
We could have more.
We don't know about that.
Time. We don't know.
When there's a song called Roman Holiday on Brett Vault,
then what? Then what are you going to do? Then you're going to be really scared. Then you're going to be really scared.
Going to be scared.
Yeah.
Then we're going to be coming back and giving it a 10. So that's really just, that's the way it is. Laura added 10 across the board. 10 across the board. Iconic everything. Everything about this. Roman Holiday, Bleachella, Met Gala. Girls.
Girls.
He was with her during her most inspired fashion era of all time.
He wore the I Heart TS tank top. Nobody asked him to do that. He put it on willingly.
No one
and then of course he was so that. Like that relationship was so heavily publicized. To think it only lasted like how long, and he only got like 2 songs out of the whole thing, but he was such a part of the lore that he's in the Look What You Made Me Do music video, technically because of the I Heart TS shirts. He was iconic. He was iconic,
and he had absolutely no idea that he was a pawn in a much larger game.
No, he didn't know that.
He would never be able to escape from. He really didn't realize that.
No, he was going to Selena Gomez in his, like, I'm going to the country club outfit. I love that. That's, like, one of my favorite pictures.
The photo of her drinking an old-fashioned and rolling her eyes while he's kissing her hand. Girls. Too good. It was a whirlwind. I really think he was like, I found my wife, and the entire affair was like a drunk night out
wife
for her. But because he was talking in interviews about like what a great person, like he was really going off about like how he called her his partner. Like he was just really kind of going for it in a way that she really wasn't. And I envisioned this as like, you know, when you're in a club and you're like dancing and you're having a night, you're drinking too much or doing something you shouldn't be doing. And then you go to the bathroom and you shut the door and you're alone with yourself in this disgusting, filthy bathroom. And you sober up very dramatically for 1 second and you look in the mirror and you go, what the fuck are you doing? What the go home.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And she went home. She was like, I gotta go. One of my favorite,
I have to leave.
All-time favorite pictures from that entire thing is after the fact when Tom was walking past like a pop art mural that's just like, oh, Tom, I love you too, but... And it's clearly Taylor, and he's walking right past it. Iconic.
The impact on Taylor's approach to love, I mean, I gave him a 2. He was just a pawn in her mind games with the turkey.
1 out of 10. That's what I said. I don't think she learned a thing from this. I'd like to say that she learned not to getaway car people, but we know that that's not the truth. That's not the truth, Ellen. Because she getaway card. Not long after this, she was in another one saying, go, go, go.
Girl.
And once again, learned. Nothing good starts in a getaway
car. I think everybody should just keep that at top of mind. That should be part of your prayer every day. Yep. Nothing good starts in a getaway car. You should just know that. I gave him a 27 out of 40.
Oh, he got a 27 from me as well. Congratulations, Tom.
Wow.
But I always liked Tom. I liked him, and I think that...
he did nothing wrong.
He did nothing wrong.
Other than rock.
Yeah, other than rock.
Well, let's talk about people who did something wrong. Why don't we... Okay, Joe Alwyn. I wonder who's going to clip this and call us haters for saying whatever we're going to say. The line that encapsulates their relationship. I chose, my face was gray, but you wouldn't admit that we were sick.
Oh, clocked him. Mm-hmm.
There was a lot to choose from as well. I was really overwhelmed when trying to pick a line. I was like, oh my God.
Where to begin? I chose a line from So Long London. I chose, you swore that you loved me, but where were the clues? I died on the altar, waiting for the proof.
Now that's it. That kind of just is it.
That's it.
That's everything.
You swore that you loved me, but where were the clues?
Thanks.
Where were the clues? We still don't have them. We're still looking for them. Mystery
We
Inc.
can't find them.
We can't find them.
That's part of it. That's part of why we're here today. We're trying to do the relationship autopsy. I mean, the songs. Now, he is the most prolific muse, which gives him an automatic advantage over everyone else, I feel, in terms of ranking. So Ready for It, Endgame, Don't Blame Me, Delicate, So It Goes, Gorgeous, King of My Heart, Dancing with Our Hands Tied, Dress, Call It What You Want, New Year's Day, Cruel Summer, Lover, I Think He Knows, Paper Rings, Afterglow, London Boy, False God, All of the Girls, Cornelius Street, It's Nice to Have a Friend, Daylight, Invisible String, Peace, Hoax, Willow, Long Story Short, Lavender Haze, Bejeweled, Labyrinth, Sweet Nothing, Mastermind, The Great War, Paris, Dear Reader, You're Losing Me, So Long London, How Did It End? The Lakes, Renegade.
Delicious. No, that's a paragraph of good. That's a good paragraph.
There's diva written.
There's diva, diva,
over it.
diva. Delicious. I said, what did I say? Where is it?
Hotness? What do you say for hotness?
Oh,
let's start with hotness.
So let's start with hotness. 5. He's all right.
Me too.
I do get it to a point. I do get it to a point, and I do believe when people say he's hotter in person. Like, I can believe that, but 5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I know he's good looking, but there is something old-timey sinister about him. He's like a war criminal. If I look too long, I get scared. And when he's not looking sinister, he looks inanimate, like an escaped Madame Tussauds figure that they just put on the red carpet.
Right.
So, but he is attractive. He's very pretty. He's a pretty boy for sure. I'd say he's the most like gorgeous man that Taylor has dated.
Well, you're so gorgeous.
Oh, I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize it. Now, what did you give the songs Inspired? I have a feeling I know.
So here, I said 9 out of 10. Okay, and the reason that I deducted a point, is because there was a time right around midnights where I said I've heard about enough of I Love Joe Alwyn, and I'm saying we get it now. So I did deduct a point for sheer like I feel like I've heard this song before. That kind of attitude that I had around midnights. That's the only reason I deducted a point. Otherwise, we're talking Gorgina, Bellissimo, beautiful, never been done before. She was writing. We can't take that away from him. She was writing about him. He was a muse.
To be fair, yeah, I forgot about that. The Joe overwhelm. Like, we really were begging enough. No more. The crowd is chanting stop. The crowd is chanting something different, please. So I gave it a 10. And I think that's only because he has an unfair advantage of being the longest muse. Yeah. So by virtue of hanging around for 7-8 years, he gets to take the cake on like the most variety of songs. Because when you look at them, there's a breadth in the songwriting ranging all the way from like Ready for It to Hoax. Your two poles. The difference, the gulf between those two songs is huge, but they were inspired by the same person. And I think we've only kind of scratch the surface on what's there to connections to be made between all of these songs. But what I do think is interesting about them from a text point of view is that there's an undercurrent of anxiety through all of these songs. Even the happy ones are kind of laced with a little bit of trepidation, a do or die, an everything or nothing sort of approach that they had with this relationship. It feels very fragile. Yes. And it's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The catalog of Joe songs is very interesting. It's the whole kit and caboodle.
We need to do Midnight's Revisited again, unfortunately. Like, it needs
Midnight's
to be
revisited.
Revisited. I think so. Yeah, 10 for that. Lore Added. What did you give him for Lore Added?
Now, this is an interesting one because I do think to an extent the lore is interesting. I think hearing about the situation and being able to hear so many different sides of the same relationship is interesting. But the fact of the matter is we just didn't get that much lore out of this situation because he wouldn't let her Bejeweled. So I had to deduct a few points and I gave it 6 out of 10. That's what I gave it.
That shocks me because I also gave it a 6 and I initially went to give it a 10, but this is all retroactive. Like, we got the least possible real-time content from Taylor Swift ever with a purse from him. And that was not appreciated. The contact was so brief and so minimal that the breakup came also as a gigantic surprise. And this was a really unknowable situation for us, which is how clearly they both wanted it to be at the time, but it kept us at a real distance from Taylor. Like, I remember as a fan, you know, the parasocial relationships are strong, but in the Joe era, I felt quite far away from her. And that was intentional, clearly. And I think when you boil all the lore down to it, what you just get is he couldn't handle the heat.
Yeah, which is sad. It's about how horrible being famous is.
We weren't getting iconic paparazzi pictures.
No. Yeah.
He wasn't ready for it.
No, he wasn't.
That really is the answer.
Are you ready for it? And
no.
7 years later, the question was answered, and the answer was no.
Yep.
So there you go.
There you go, Taylor. So I gave him a 31 out of 40.
Oh, I gave him a 28 out of 40.
Okay. T.
And that's on period.
Now, the latest muse. The latest purse. Purse is a generous word. Garbage bag? In the dump.
He's a tote. He's a tote.
He is. We're talking, of course, about Matty Healy. Now, what was the line that you chose to encapsulate this relationship? Madeline?
What do you think
Let
it
me
is?
guess. Let me guess.
All right, so actually, I have a couple.
You turned me into an idea of sorts?
Well, listen, I have a couple. Let me cook. I have a couple. Let me cook. So the first one that I said, but then I had to add a second one just because I think that there had to be at least these two. So my first one is, if you want to tear my world apart, just say you've always wondered. So that's the first one, because he did say he always wondered, and then he tore her world apart. So let's start there. Number two, you said some things that I can't unabsorb. You turned me into an idea of sorts. That's it. That's the entire thing. You said some things to me that I can't unabsorb, and I was spending all this time writing songs about it. And meanwhile, you were turning me into an idea of sorts. That's the relationship. That's the relationship. Hello, Chloe or Sam. Everything comes back to it. It is the
really
web.
Does.
Her web connects them all.
I also have two options. So I started with, and this is a simple one, was any of it true? And I end there. That's the encapsulation. And my other option was, it was unnecessary, should have let it stay buried.
Tell them.
And
Tell them. Yep.
She should have. She should have, but she didn't, and we love her for it. So the songs that we have about Matty Healy, now we're not doing, you'll notice actually that we haven't done a lot of folklore in Evermore. Anything that we couldn't like very confidently say was a direct inspiration, we kind of left it out, or, you know, up for interpretation songs from the past as well, we kind of left those out. So Matty, Fortnite, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, Tortured Poets, My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, Down Bad, But Daddy I Love Him, Fresh Out the Slammer, Guilty as Sin, I Can Fix Him, The Smallest Man, LOML, and for all the haters and losers, The Alchemy, The Black Dog, I'm Gonna Get You Back, Chloe or Sam, Peter, Question Mark, Maroon, Glitch, Cardigan, and we're pretty confident that the one is also about him too.
Yes.
Hotness, now, Madeline. Hotness. Should we start there?
No. Let's start with hotness. So here's the thing about Mr. Matt is that it's like a day-to-day thing with him. He is a rock star, and I find he's at his most attractive when he's on stage. Then I'm completely understanding it. It's when he's off stage and he's like being an asshole that I find him unattractive. So I gave him a 7 because he is a rock star and he can be very attractive. But at the same time, there are other times where I just think he doesn't really look that great. So that's where I put him, 7.
I give him a 0. And if I could go into the minuses, I would. I've tried and I don't get it. I've seen him on stage. I have never once seen an image of Matty Healy, and this is completely separate to his and Taylor's relationship. I have never gotten it. I've had friends who have been like obsessed with Matty, and it just does absolutely nothing for me. Even like, for example, I can say that I don't think Tom Hiddleston is attractive to me, but when I look at him, I'm like, that's an attractive man. When I look at Matty Healy, I'm like, ew. I genuinely am like, gross. Not only am I not like, he's not attractive, I'm like, ugh, I'm repulsed. So I had to give him a 0, but then I had to turn around and give him a 10 for songs inspired.
Well, I mean, I said 10 as well, and I'm not scared to say it. Her pen, every single song, even the ones that we didn't think were about him up until this all happened, fire. She was swirled you into all of my poems, and she was
doing it,
and she was, and I was seated every single time before I even knew. That's the scary part.
Know. Well, that's why we loved Question. That's why we were so fixated on it.
Yep.
We were like, what is this?
Right.
And unfortunately, now I know. These songs are the divas. Any selection of songs that's going to get But Daddy I Love Him in it is going to receive a perfect 10 from me. I like this collection of songs because Matty really provoked Taylor to spill her guts. Joe's Love kind of encouraged her to like withhold detail-wise and like color in the lines, but Matty's like wrecking ball entrance into and out of her life created this like gloves off writerly mentality from her that truly shocked me, because most of the time it didn't even portray Taylor herself in a uniformly positive light. Do I think any of these songs introduced anything new to the canon sonically or thematically? Like, for example, I think those Haler songs really ushered in a new era of Taylor Swift. No, I don't think that happened with Maddie, but I do view these as real knife sharpener Taylor Swift songs. It's like the soundtrack to acting on an intrusive thought.
And it's delicious.
Mm-hmm. It's shocking.
I was
it's graphic.
I was shocked.
It's violent.
It was. Yes. Yep.
There should be trigger warnings on all of these songs because
I needed them. When I was listening to it the first song, I really needed them. I needed them bad.
You needed one for Chloe or Sam.
Oh, I did.
You really needed one
I
for
went
that.
into
That got you.
completely blind, and it ruined my day. It ruined me for life.
Thank God it's on camera. Thank God it's captured on camera for the people.
For the people. That's for everybody to enjoy.
Lore added 10. I mean,
I said 10 as well. This is probably the most fascinating lore to me out of all of them. And I did say to you the other night, I was like, I don't know if that's recency bias, but I just find it so fascinating. And what makes it unique to any other boyfriend, that he actually is a writer as well, and good songs and interesting songs he has written, and a few, not just like one shitty song on one album that everybody forgot about, Harry, but like a good half dozen at least songs about her that are interesting and give perspective into the situation, unlike any we've had before with any of her other boyfriends, because he was the first guy she dated who was really truly like a cowboy like her. And it's so fascinating to think about these songs that we thought were about other people, but were really about him, just secretly about him. Like they were speaking to one another in a language that only they could understand, and they were doing it right in front of everybody. And that's part of what made it so hot, probably, to them. Nobody knows
it's
this is about
like
you.
Correspondence between like great writers of the 20th century. They would write each other these like long letters, and they would get published posthumously and like reveal all of these things. We have the privilege of seeing that happen in real time and in a different format. I think this clarified a lot of things that we had been wondering about. Had they ever hooked up to begin with? Was it ever that serious when they eventually did come together? And if you recall, Madeline, which I'm sure you do, the prevailing sentiment was around that was, oh, that was embarrassing and she's with Travis now. We're just going to pretend it didn't happen, and so is she, and it wasn't that serious. It would have been so easy for Taylor to just do a heel turn and chalk this up to a bad PR decision and just carry on with the Eras tour and release the two Taylor's versions this year, and had a completely like normal, successful year without Tortured Poets at all. Right. But instead, she said she needed to write this. It was something that simply had to be created. And again, the clarifications here made her feel so much more real on the page. Little details like "you crashed my party" and "your rental car" reminds me of the days where she would include those like shocking tiny details that led you to the conclusions you needed to make. Right. And it reminded me of the secret messages. I loved it.
I absolutely loved it. Tortured Poets was such a memorable listening experience because it was the kind of listening experience that really reminded me of the golden era of Taylor Swift records, which isn't to say that any of the other records that have come out after that are bad. I'm just saying like the specific experience of it is radically different, and Tortured Poets kind of like brought that back, and I loved it.
From 1989 onwards, it was a little bit more self-conscious, and Tortured Poets, oh girl, she wasn't thinking about how that was going to be received. If she was, there would have been some lines edited out.
Right.
And impact on Taylor's approach to love. This is difficult to quantify because it's so recent. So I gave it a 7. Really, all we have to compare it with now is to her relationship with Travis, which, I mean, it's not as different as the Joe-Travis comparison, because like Maddie was pretty public with her. He was like front row at the Eras tour. He was on the stage performing with Phoebe. Like he was very embedded for a minute. But I think that Travis is like a safer pick for Taylor. He's an athlete, so he has this like level of discipline and orderliness that Taylor has that isn't often found in creatives. And that's part of the reason why Taylor is one of the most prolific creatives, because she constantly has her shit together. Maddie couldn't be more opposite from that. It seems like he's always fighting like an invisible battle, either like with drugs or his addiction to saying inflammatory nonsense that sabotages his growth and success in a way that he just doesn't even understand how it's precluding him from becoming better. And that couldn't be Taylor or Travis. They're both very ambitious. So that was kind of my understanding of the impact so far.
So I said 6 out of 10 just because it's all so vague, and because the only things that we know are what she wrote about on the Heartbreak record. It's like, I know what she thinks about the Heartbreak, but I don't know what she thinks about it going forward. I mean, I will say this ended and she sat her ass down and wrote the prophecy. So I mean, you tell me. But I said 6 out of 10 because it's impossible to know when we only have so much information. And maybe there'll be more on TS12, or maybe it's going to be Lover Travis's version. We just don't know yet. So we'll see.
Queendom. Yeah. And that's, you know what I realized? We forgot to do Taylor Lautner.
Oh no! Do you hold on? I have him.
Taylor
I have
Lautner.
him in my notes. Hold on, let me find him. I have him in my notes. Where are you, little
Let's
buddy?
do him. We got him. He's got to be here.
He's got to be
We
here.
got to give him a moment.
Okay.
We got to give him a moment. What was the line you chose to encapsulate their relationship?
So I said, this is from Back to December. Of course it is. You gave me all your love, and all I gave you was goodbye.
Yeah, I put if the chain is on your door, I understand.
Hello.
And gorgeous. The songs that we have about him confirmed, I guess, are Back to December and Today Was a Fairy Tale. There are more gray area songs that we could cover, but those are the two ones that are pretty clearly about him. So, Madeline, what do you think I rated Songs Inspired? What do you think my rating was, if those are the two songs?
6 or 7?
10.
You stopped. You're so silly. 10.
Well,
yes, I'll say
I felt 10. The magic in the air. I
well,
will
period.
always feel it.
Well,
and
period.
that's my journey. What did you give them?
So I gave it 4 out of 10. Back to December is one of my all-time favorites from Speak Now. I love that song. I love playing it, of course, around Christmas. Today Was a Fairy Tale. Okay, thanks. To me, like, it's just okay. The whole thing, like, one diva, and then that's kind of it. So 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. That's not bad. What do you give him for hotness?
So now I was Team Edward. I was a Robert Pattinson girl.
As you
I
should
always
be.
was, and I always will be. But it is worth it to note, at the time I was a Twilighter, so I was going absolutely freaking nuts. This was my Super Bowl. But he just never. No, I was an Edward girl. 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. That's my truth.
5 out of 10. I think I gave him. What did I give him? I think I gave him a 7. I want to say he had the muscles. Oh, I gave him a 6. I gave him a 6. Lore Inspired. I gave a 7 to that.
That's interesting. Why? Why?
Well, I love Back to December being the first. Maybe I'm the problem song that everybody was crying and screaming for. Them filming Valentine's Day together. Right. That was lore. Yeah, I loved that. Taylor Squared. The fact that they were both called Taylor. That was everything to me at the time. And him coming to the show and them panning to him during Back to December and Last Kiss and him being like, "This is to the boy from Michigan." See, you have to clap. We have to give it up for that.
Here's what I said. Quote, "They both had the same name. That's Freaky Deaky." He was a part of Taylor's first sachet into acting with Valentine's Day. So there's that. I mean, we didn't clap or cheer, but that happened. It certainly did. Then years later, he showed up at the Eras Tour and backflipped off the stage. And also appeared.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I Can See You music video, like the most jobless man that's ever existed. Is any of this lore or just things that happened? I'm saying
you forgot backflip in the movie theater. You forgot that too.
In a AMC.
Not the premiere, just a regular midday screening.
I gave him 2 out of 10. I mean, there are nuggets there, but he's so silly to me. I can't.
He is
Maybe
silly.
If he never
would
have
really
come
silly.
back. I thought that the way that he and his wife behaved and like glommed on to the Swifties to like get.
You know what? I want to
really
dock him a point for lore because of that, but I won't. I'll stay strong.
Okay, yeah. Let him be. Come on. We forgot about him.
Let the little guy have one. He doesn't have a career anymore. Okay, so let's get into our rankings. How did they all line up? Madeline, what was your number 1 muse?
So my number 1 with 38 points is Jake.
Same.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Wow.
Hello.
Same. He's my number 1 too.
And
for all the reasons we discussed.
He's still number 1. He's still
same.
Top dog. Yeah. Yep.
He's still number 1. And then number 2 for me was, but of course, Harry Styles.
Oh. I wasn't expecting you to say that. You just silenced me. You silenced and shocked me.
What was yours?
Mine's Matty. So Matty with 33, minus hotness 26. So he's still number 2, even if I take away hotness.
Matty really suffered by the hotness score for me. If I took the hotness away, he would probably be number 2. Oh, actually, no. If I take the hotness away, he's tied with Joe Alwyn for number 3 or number 2. Yeah, he's tied with someone. My number 3 is Joe Jonas. That shocked me.
So my number 3 is a tie. It's still a tie when I take hotness away. So tie between Joe Alwyn and Harry Styles.
Okay.
Yeah.
That feels more appropriate than what I've done. Then number 4, I have Joe Alwyn. Respectable.
At number 4, I have a tie, Joe Jonas and Tom Hiddleston. If I take the hotness away, Tom Hiddleston clears him. So then that bumps Joe Jonas down. So Tom Hiddleston is technically my number 4, and then Joe would be my number 5.
Interesting. I have a tie, a 3-way tie for the 5th position, which is John Mayer, Maddie, and Tom Hiddleston.
Now get Tom out of there. We gotta get Tom out. Get him out of there. Let him out.
The hotness scores really were really messing things up for me. What was your 5th place?
So 5th with hotness is John Mayer. Take the hotness away, and he gets bumped down to 6th.
Okay, not bad.
Not bad.
I think 6 for me was Taylor Lautner. Lol.
And then for mine is Connor, and he doesn't really move if you take the hotness away. He's just down there at the bottom. So there you go.
Yep. Then I have Connor second last and Calvin dead last.
My bottom 2 are Taylor Lautner and Calvin also dead last. Listen, he just wasn't giving it. He really is not performing. No.
He gave nothing. He gave nothing at all.
If he was a show horse, they'd take him out back, and
And hotness scores aside, Jake is number 1 and Calvin is the last for me, regardless. And same for you, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
so there you go.
We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. I feel good about it.
I feel good about it too. I actually I prefer my with hotness scores because that just, dovetails more with my interests personally. But I'm glad we did it without hotness too, to get a sense of like how it would just fare if we were just talking about the material. But I think it's a very positive sign that with or without hotness, our first and last are the same.
Well, what I was thinking as I was like going through and doing it, I actually don't like I don't think Taylor is like particularly shallow. Like I don't think it's all about, oh, he's the hot guy. Like obviously it's a factor. It's a factor for everybody that she's attracted to them. But I mean, I think it's really about what's going on, like how she can interact with them, how they can make each other laugh, stuff like that. I think she's very much more interested in that kind of stuff, which is really why she wound up dating Matty in the first place, because she had such a connection with him. Like I lost my twin. You tell me.
Like I lost my twin. That was something. That line really haunts me to this day.
And the fact that it's just like a background lyric, that gags me. It silences me and
Torture
gags me every time.
Greatest album ever made.
You are somebody else. And people don't know that. That's what kills me. They don't understand that. They don't have the capacity.
They're saying it doesn't have a cultural impact. Well.
And yet, nobody can dethrone it.
Not a single person. Sorry, girl, you lose. Sorry, Kyle, you lose. Well,
goodbye, Kyle.
Goodbye, Kyle. And speaking of, that wraps up our episode. And if you liked this episode, you simply need to go to patreon.com/swiftologist, because you get weekly episodes there. We're about to just go record a little Kiki Lounge and divulge a story we've never shared about our trip to London. And
like it's so good.
Like it's so juicy. But you can come hear from us just, having fun, doing a Kiki once a week on Swiftologist. Well, twice a week because we're going to go public next month, but more on that later. And you can catch this episode of Evolution of Snake on Swiftologist later in the week. So stay tuned for that. We love you and goodbye.